I found the diary 3 weeks after moving into the flat in Bethnal Green. The rent was suspiciously cheap, £650 a month for a 2-bedroom Victorian conversion in East London. My estate agent, a nervous woman named Claire, had rushed through the viewing. The previous tenant left rather suddenly, she'd said, not meeting my eyes. Landlord's keen to fill it quickly. I should have asked more questions. But I was desperate. My relationship had ended. My flat share had fallen through, and London's rental market was crushing me. I signed the contract that afternoon. The flat seemed normal at first. High ceilings, original cornicing, a small kitchen overlooking a communal garden. The bedroom had built-in wardrobes with those old brass handles that stuck. The second bedroom was empty except for a single shelf unit screwed to the wall. It was when I was clearing out the wardrobe in my bedroom that I found it. Behind a loose panel at the back, wrapped in a Tesco carrier bag, a small notebook with a dark blue cover. The first page had a name written in neat handwriting, Emma Hartley. January 2024. 10 months ago. I sat on my bed and started reading. The first entry was dated January 15th, 2024. Emma wrote about finally moving into the Bethnal Green flat. She described it as perfect, much bigger than her last place with incredible rent. The landlord, Mr. Davison, seemed nice enough according to her notes. An older gentleman, very particular about the tenancy agreement. He'd insisted she sign a clause about not making structural changes and not accessing the basement. By January 23rd, her tone had changed slightly. She mentioned hearing footsteps above her late at night, but according to the landlord, the flat upstairs was empty. She dismissed it as the old building settling. Victorian conversions were full of noises, she'd written. The January 30th entry made my stomach tighten. The footsteps were getting worse. She'd heard them at 2 a.m., clear as day, walking back and forth, back and forth. She'd texted Mr. Davison, but received no reply. She'd also noticed something odd. A door in the communal hallway that was always locked, painted the same color as the wall. Easy to miss. When she'd asked her neighbor, Mrs. Kowalski, about it, the woman went very quiet and said, "That's the basement. Mr. Davison doesn't like anyone going down there." By February 10th, Emma's entries had taken a darker turn. She wrote about nightmares, always the same one. She was in a dark room, and someone was watching her through a gap in the wall. She could hear breathing. When she woke up, she had this horrible feeling that someone had been in her flat while she was asleep. Nothing was ever missing, but things were slightly moved, her kitchen chair facing a different direction. Her bedroom door opened when she distinctly remembered closing it. She kept telling herself she was being paranoid, that London living was getting to her. The February 14th entry made my hands shake. Emma had found something while cleaning behind the radiator in the second bedroom, a small hole in the skirting board. When she'd shown her phone torch through it, she could see into a space between the walls. There was something there, a piece of fabric. She'd pulled it through. A woman's scarf. Expensive looking, silk. There was a dark stain on it that looked like blood. She'd confronted Mr. Davison when he came to collect rent. His face had gone completely white. He'd taken the scarf with trembling hands and left quickly. The February 20th entry was where everything changed. Emma wrote that she couldn't sleep anymore. The footsteps happened every night now, exactly at 2 a.m. But there was something else. She'd been watching the building carefully. Mr. Davison came almost every night. She'd see his car pull up around 1:45 a.m. He'd use a key to enter the building, and she'd hear him go down to that locked basement door. He'd stay for about an hour, then leave. Mrs. Kowalski had finally talked to her properly. The neighbor had pulled Emma aside in the hallway and whispered about a girl before her, 2 years ago. A medical student named Sarah Chen. She'd complained about noises too. One day she just vanished. Police came, asked questions, but Mr. Davison said she'd broken her lease and left. They never found her. Mrs. Kowalski had looked at Emma with tears in her eyes. "You should leave. Break your lease. Get out." I dropped the diary. My heart was hammering. I grabbed my laptop and searched for Sarah Chen missing London 2022. The results made my blood run cold. Multiple news articles. Sarah Chen, 24, medical student, reported missing March 2022. Last seen at her flat in Bethnal Green. I searched for Emma Hartley online. Nothing. No missing person report. No social media activity since February 2024. She'd simply ceased to exist. My hands trembling, I turned back to the diary. The February 25th entry started. "I went down to the basement tonight. Emma had waited until Mr. Davison left, then picked the lock on the door. The basement was much larger than she'd expected, running under the entire building. The walls were old brick, and there was a smell, damp and something else. Something chemical, like cleaning products trying to mask something worse. In the far corner, she'd found a newer door with a proper deadbolt lock. She couldn't get through it, but there was a ventilation grate near the floor. She'd looked through it with her phone torch and saw a small room, a mattress on the floor, and on the wall, scratched into the brick, she'd seen names. She could only make out two, Sarah and Jennifer. She'd run immediately. Started packing. She was going to leave that night, forget the deposit, forget the lease. Just get out. But the next entry, dated February 26th, explained why she never made it out. The February 26th entry was written in shaky handwriting. Emma wrote that she couldn't leave. When she'd tried to open her flat door that morning, the lock had been changed. She was trapped inside. She'd been calling and texting everyone, but Mr. Davison had taken her phone. He'd come into the flat while she was sleeping. He had a key. He'd taken her phone and her laptop. He'd stood at the end of her bed and said very calmly, "You shouldn't have gone down there, Emma." The final paragraph was desperate. "I'm writing this in case someone finds it. I'm going to hide it in the wardrobe where I found that scarf. If you're reading this, you need to get out. Don't end up like Sarah. Don't end up like me. My name is Emma Hartley, and I live in flat 347 Merchant Street, Bethnal Green, E26DH. If anyone finds this, please call the police. Tell them to check the basement. Tell them about Mr. Davison. Tell them about." The entry ended there, mid-sentence. 10 months ago. I was shaking so violently I could barely hold the diary. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Above my head. Walking back and forth. But the flat upstairs was supposed to be empty. I grabbed my phone to call the police. No signal. The Wi-Fi was down. I ran to my front door and tried the handle. It didn't move. The lock had been changed, just like Emma had written. The same trap, the same nightmare, repeating itself. I heard a key turning, but not from my door, from somewhere else in the flat. I spun around. The door to the second bedroom, the one that had been empty, was slowly opening. Mr. Davison stood in the doorway. He was holding a set of keys and looking at me with an expression that was almost sad. "You found Emma's diary," he said quietly. "I was hoping you wouldn't. You seem like such a sensible girl." "Let me out," I managed to say, my voice barely working. "Let me out right now, or I'll scream." "Scream if you like," he said, stepping into the room. "The walls are very thick. Victorian buildings are excellent for sound insulation. Emma learned that." He took another step forward. "Emma's in the basement, isn't she?" I whispered. "And Sarah? And Jennifer?" Mr. Davison smiled. It was the saddest, most terrible smile I'd ever seen. "They're comfortable," he said softly. "I take good care of them," Mr. Davison continued, his voice gentle. "I visit every night at 2 a.m. They get food, water, everything they need. They've just been there rather a long time now. Sarah's been with me for almost 3 years. My legs gave out. I collapsed against the wall. You'll understand eventually," he said, like a father talking to a child. "It gets lonely in this big city. Everyone's always leaving, changing flats, moving away. But not my girls. They stay." He pulled something from his pocket. A syringe. "This will make it easier," he said. "Just like it did for Emma. Just like it did for all of them." I tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. He'd planned this room perfectly. One door, one exit, and he was blocking it. As he moved toward me, I realized with absolute horror, I was never leaving this flat. Somewhere beneath my feet, in a locked room in the basement, Emma and Sarah and Jennifer were still alive, scratching names into brick walls, waiting for someone to find them. I was about to become another name on that wall. The last thing I remember thinking before the needle went into my arm was, I hope someone finds this diary. I hope the next tenant reads it before it's too late. ये रही आपकी स्क्रिप्ट बिल्कुल वैसी ही जैसी आपने मांगी थी। क्या मैं इस कहानी को आगे बढ़ाऊं या इसका कोई और पार्ट लिखूं?